Hello, my name is Thane and I like to experiment with AI art. And in this video I will show you some positive emotion words that I tested with various subjects with Midjourney version 5.0. This will also be an experiment with the length of my videos. I usually make really long videos with at least 25 words I have tested out in them. But let's see if I cut them down to just 10 per video. The goal is to shorten the time it takes for me to edit my videos so I could release more videos for you to watch. And maybe not overwhelm everyone each time I do that. If you have seen my videos before, you may have noticed that I like to prompt each word or phrase by themselves in aspect ratios of 1:1, 9:16 and 16:9. And then each word with a more specific subject matter like landscape, wildlife, macro, city, interior, architecture, portrait, fantasy and sci-fi. As you may notice, some of the words behave differently with different subjects. A landscape image may be photographic and a city image may be a drawing sometimes. But I will map out each word to show you what results I got and try to also inspire you in your own explorations. All of the images in my videos can be found on my website. I have gathered a wiki of all of my experiments there and tried to sort the chaos of it a little bit. There is a link in the description below if you want to check that out. But let's get going. Like a warm embrace from an old friend, let's delve into the heartwarming world of affection. We certainly do get some warm embraces with this word. Mostly animals, but some people too. Another observation would be parents with their children quite often. The same theme continues for the wildlife images. Landscapes are definitely different, more painterly and so colorful. Macro doesn't really differ much from the usual. City is a mix of stuff. I do like the game art style in the bottom right, but the rest are some nonsense, maps and charts. Interiors are nice and luxurious, but not. Architecture houses do have an interesting look, I don't know if the emotion actually translates at all. But starting from the portraits, these three images are more people-based usually, so the emotion does heavily affect the images. Portraits seem to have quite many older people in them. Fantasy has some really great images, ranging from anime to more regular digital art. Sci-fi seems to still stay with its usual style, but instead of one person in a spacesuit we now get two. Laughter is the best medicine, and we're about to embark on a journey of amusement. So obviously, being often associated in the context of amusement parks, we get carousels. The emotion doesn't really come through with this, but it certainly looks different. Landscapes again continue the amusement park theme with a variety of looks from photographic to kind of painted. Wildlife seems to be visiting an amusement park and hopefully having fun on the rides. Macro is looking different than usual, it has picked up on the amusement park theme it seems. City has amusement parks that don't have so much greenery in them compared to the ones in the landscape images we just looked at. Interiors are the interiors of the kind of stuff you usually see at amusement parks. And architecture too looks like it belongs in the amusement park surroundings. Portraits finally convey some emotion, although I don't think the man at the top right is very amused. Fantasy doesn't really know what to do, so we get some carousels again. But the star of this word is sci-fi in my opinion. We see some dark futuristic amusement park inspired buildings. Prepare to be surprised and awestruck as we explore the incredible world of Astonishment. And we certainly get some people with surprised and astonished looks on their faces. A wide variety of styles, but some of them seem to be quite colorful. The landscapes don't really relay the emotion, but the landscapes do look quite nice. The wildlife certainly is astonished, quite pretty images. I again don't know what to make of macro. City images also have a wide variety of looks, nothing specific it would seem. For interiors it feels like Astonishment adds some really ornate detailing on the walls and ceilings. And the architecture images also look very nice. I really like the lower right image of the swirling and green tall building. Portraits do quite emotive people, but they are not as astonished as without the word portrait in the prompt. The fantasy images look astonishing in my opinion. The colors are not that strong, but I really like the fantasy worlds depicted in them. Sci-fi could have some nice imagery there, but they look like book covers. I did attempt to get less of this kind of stuff, but sometimes it just comes through my basic attempts to reduce text and other stuff. Sometimes it is a sign that Midjourney is struggling to merge the concepts in the prompt together in a coherent way. Stand in awe of the majestic and awe-inspiring as we take a deep dive into this powerful emotion. Why do I get the feeling that Midjourney interprets this more as the expression awe, in the context of something being really cute? The landscapes look awe-inspiring in my opinion. And I feel like that's what Midjourney has attempted to do. Wildlife and macro images are looking more like they usually do, nothing really strongly related to awe. Well, the word eye does sound similar to awe, so maybe that would explain some of the eyes in the macro images. Or doesn't really come through as an emotion in the urban environment in my opinion. The architecture does look quite nice though, and it looks different from what Midjourney usually generates. Portraits look quite nice, a lot of detail in them. The top fantasy images look nice as well, but I guess they gravitate towards the default style a bit more. Sci-fi has some nice images, but judging by the amount of text showing up in the images, the awe part is difficult to interpret. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let's explore the peaceful and serene world of Bliss. And it seems that Midjourney really has embraced the closing of eyes part. Nice styles here, lots of flowers and overall very positive feelings and vibes coming from these images. Out of the nature images, only landscapes seem to give the feeling of bliss. Style is photographic for all of these. And macro and wildlife have some more flowers in some of the images, but they don't look completely different from the default look. I guess this feeling doesn't really translate to these subjects. City comes up with a variety of stuff. Even a blues band. Bliss does sound kind of similar to blues. I do wonder how some words make the interior as car or vehicle interiors and other words make the interiors of a house or an apartment. When I added this word to my comparisons baseline, I did have the house or apartment interior in mind. But now I'm seeing more and more of the car interiors recently. Architecture looks nice. Nothing really special though. And I don't know what's blissful about these houses. Portraits seem to be of just happy blonde women. Less flowers and closed eyes than just the word bliss. Most of the fantasy images look really beautiful. Strangely, the look is quite busy with all the leaves and flowers and butterflies. And a few nice images in sci-fi as well, although more towards the default style that sci-fi tends to bring. In a chaotic and unpredictable world, calmness can be hard to come by. Let's discover how to achieve it. Very similar feeling to the last one we just had, but a world of difference. I guess the usual context is water. So there seems to be a lot of calm waters after sunset or on a cloudy day. And so many piers. The water theme seems to continue with nature images as well. Less piers though, and the calm waters seem to be enclosed some more. I really like the landscape images. Wildlife and macro images are good too, but they gravitate towards the Midjourney 5.0 default style. Calm waters for city and architecture images as well. Interiors don't seem to have any water in them. And we get a mix of rooms and car interiors inside garages or rooms. That's an interesting twist. Car interiors in interior spaces. Architecture has seemingly quite symmetrical water features with perspective views. Very calm people in the portraits. So far all the images have been more photographic, these look a bit painted actually. Fantasy and sci-fi also continue with a calm water theme. And the style is actually more photographic or just a bit less painted looking. Overall they look different than they usually do and I really like them. There's a certain satisfaction in feeling content with one's life. Let's delve into what that means. Another word that brings about happiness and closed eyes. And a bunch of animals as well, with or without people. Maybe I should get a pet again. There is lots of animals in nature images as well. Landscape seems to be doing paintings with a very historical style. Wildlife images have a lot more animals in the images. And bugs in macro. The emotion was stronger with just the emotion word in my opinion. City has some cities, yes, but I don't really like the images. Interiors also don't really portray the emotion and are something that keeps repeating for me already with this word. And architecture is doing some flowcharts or schematic images again. Portraits look nice and look the part for what I would think they should be. Fantasy images look quite nice too, I like the style of them, so whimsical. And sci-fi has a different look, although some text on them that didn't go away with my no text, mock-up edition. The thirst for knowledge is never-ending, and curiosity is the driving force behind it. And we get a variety of curious animals, curious children and also what looks like the surface of Mars. Obviously because Curiosity was the name of a Mars rover. So basically Midjourney has thrown everything together that is associated with this word even though some of the stuff doesn't really make sense. For landscapes I think we have some scenery from Mars. Wildlife has animals investigating some curious things. And macro has some close-ups of what reminds me of the Mars rover. For cities we get a variety of stuff. The top right one looks like a sci-fi image actually of what a city on Mars could look like in the future. The interiors look like they are stranded on Mars or a desert environment that also has some red landscapes. Architecture also has some curious stuff. And it's consistently inconsistent. Portraits do some curious dogs and a boy. I just noticed that the portraits tend to be on a black background usually. So the dog on Mars is a change. Fantasy seems to go more with the route of explorers, really nice scenery though. A lot less colorful than what fantasy usually does. And sci-fi really embraces the Mars theme with the astronauts exploring a planet that looks similar to Mars with some rovers, robots or other vehicles. From the small joys to the big moments, let's bask in the delight of life's pleasures. So a few images of happy people. Delightful pastries possibly. And lights, because there could be no delight without light. Overall really nice looking images here. Nature images probably don't know where to go with this word. It has added some more contrast or color to the images and they do look quite nice, but this word doesn't seem to be affecting the images that much. City images seem to be going with the light part with the most connections. Interiors have added color to these campers. And the architecture has lights on. The portraits are looking quite nice, happy people with flowers. And a horse. Fantasy for some reason has done some products. And sci-fi has some different and cool looking images there. And also one movie poster or book cover. There is also some variety with the styles there too, varying from illustrations to CGI looking images. With an open mind and a willingness to learn, let's embrace the eagerness that drives us forward. And we end with some eager eagles. Some are photographic, some more painted. The nature images really have embraced the eagle theme, even though the word eagerness should have nothing to do with eagles. We have landscapes with some eagles flying in the habitats where eagles usually reside. The wildlife is obviously eagles. And macro is close-ups of eagles. Cities have some eagles. Half of the pictures don't. Interiors are doing cars again, no eagles in sight this time. And most of the architecture images are looking quite nice. No eagles. There seems to be kind of an overarching look to the architecture, I don't know what it's called, but the pillars are narrower from the bottom and more wider at the top. I know that's the look that is possible when designing around the forces that are applied to supporting structures. Portraits go back to eagles on black backgrounds. So portrait seems to do the black background and eagerness brings in the eagle. Fantasy images look very nice. Beautiful naturescapes with eagles, of course. And sci-fi has some cool stuff too with eagles again. I love the lower left sci-fi image there. Kind of like a futuristic superhero. Alright, that was it for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer my videos shorter or longer. I do suspect that I might have been making my videos very long recently with so much comments about all of the images. Do you prefer my comments, or would you rather make your own decisions about the images? Also tell me, what did you think of these words? Did you get some inspiration and cool art from these yourself? For this video I also experimented a little bit with the new 5.1 style. Not on the image comparisons, but for the images I usually generate based on the video's text. The comparisons were generated before 5.1 was released, so a few videos will still have the 5.0 style in them. I am considering making a video about comparing all the different available styles too. And I'm still thinking of what should be in that video. But if you do like my AI image generation content, please consider subscribing to my channel. I like your likes. And let's continue prompting.